Encouraging Testimonies. I'm your host, Dr. Colleen Wilcox. I thank you so much for joining us here today on Encouraging Testimonies. Just wanted a little time to encourage you to go through your day, go through your busy schedule, and to just give you a word from the Lord. I was reading in the book of Jonah today, and I was singing the song, and I kept singing the song. I kept thinking, where did this song come from? Because I know it was scripture, and a lot of people sing it, and maybe not all the words to the song. The song kept ringing in me, someone throw me overboard, And I remember my grandmother singing this song, throw me overboard, and I kept trying to think of the words and think of the words, and I finally thought of a little bit of the words, but not really the whole song. And when you try, when you try to think of something and you get it in your mind, you try to tell people, remember this song, and you go on and you try to get the rhythm, and it don't come, and they looking at you like you're strange. But I remember my grandmother singing a song in church, throw me overboard, and I was like, throw me overboard, and what's church about throwing me overboard? But they were saying they got it from the book of Jonah. When Jonah was in the belly of the whale. Before he got into the belly of the whale, he was on the ship. And anyway, that's where the song comes from, with my grandmother was singing the song back in the day. Throw me overboard. And I kept trying to remember, and I still can't remember all the lyrics, and I'm trying to remember. I have to call my sister that's a lot older than me, so she could tell me the song that it said throw me overboard. Anyway, it did bring me to the scripture of Jonah when he was in the belly of the whale. And he went to, God had told Jonah to go to Nineveh. And Jonah was like, I don't want to go. And so Jonah went to a city to hide from God. So he ran, they say he ran for the presence of the Lord, to hide from God. And we all know that ain't possible. You don't care where you go, you can't hide. So some songwriters say you can run, but you can't hide. And that's just about it. You can run, but you cannot hide from God. But Jonah ran into another city. And I guess Jonah thought because he can get on water that he could run from the Lord. And it is scripture, and it's the God's are the truth, but it's just, it makes you, we can sit and laugh at it, but I'm sure Jonah was not laughing at the matter. And two, you think about, why would you run from God? He sees all, he knows all, where you going? And but anyway, Jonah ran from the Lord, and he went into the ship, because he did not want to go to Nineveh. God told him, go to Nineveh and tell these people, because they are so wicked, because they are so evil and doing just what they want to do, that I am going to destroy the city of Nineveh. And Jonah said, I don't want to do it. He didn't want to go. So he went and he hid. And the thing of it is, he lied, because he told me he'd do it, but then he went and he hid. And he went into a ship. And when he got to the ship, the men on the ship and everything, and that God made a great wind come upon the ship. Now we're in Jonah, the first chapter, and there's only four chapters in Jonah. But first chapter, he went into the ship, and the ship, God made it a great wind, and so that the ship rocked, tossed it to and fro, and the men was trying to get the ship. And so the men couldn't get the ship to be stable, so the men began to pray to the Lord. So the men began to pray into their gods, and they was praying, and the shipmaster was going through all the ship, making sure everybody's praying and trying to get control of the ship. And he finally got down to the bottom of the ship, and there lay Jonah, asleep. And I could imagine Jonah down there wrapped up, balled up, and he's snoring, and he having a good nap, because he going away from Nineveh in the ship, and he's hiding from the Lord, so he assumed. And the shipmaster said, well, how are you down here asleep? And we are praying for our lives. He said, we are up there praying to our God to control the ship. So he said, you need to get up and help us pray to your God and help us control this ship. And Jonah was like, I know why the ship is like this, I was coming, I ran from the Lord, and he told him, what was going on, and he said, I know what the problem is. So he said, where you from? He asked Jonah, where are you from? What is your occupation? What do you do? What is your country? Who are your people? And Jonah told him, I'm a Hebrew. And he said, I fear the Lord. He said, I fear God. I know why the ship is doing this. So and he told us a little story about how he got on the ship and why he got on the ship. He said, I fear God, the one that made the heavens and the land and the dry land and the waters. And so he got up there and he said, well, I tell you what, and I'm going to read it so you know it's scripture. It's scripture. It's here. It said, Jonah, he said, pray to the Lord. And he said, he went and he said, why did he cause all this evil to come upon us? And so they cast lots, and they said they gonna find out who did this. And they found out when they cast their lots and they were talking amongst all of them, and they found out it was Jonah. And he said, I'm a Hebrew. I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, which has made me the seas and the dry land. And the men was exceedingly afraid, and said unto him, why hast thou done this? For the men knew that he had fled from the presence of the Lord, because he had told them. And he said unto them, what shall we do with thee, that the sea may be calm, and the tempest will stop? And he said to them, take me up, cast me forth, throw me into the sea. Now, the average person, they were like, throw the salt out, throw the food out, throw the luggage out. Everything else, but the last result would be throw me out. But Jonah like, just throw me out. I'm the purpose for the fall. I'm the purpose for the wind and what you're going through. And I know I seen y'all trying to get this boat right. I seen y'all trying to calm it down. So just throw me out. Throw me out. I asked you like, I don't care. Throw me out. Throw me overboard. And with that said, it came to me like, how many of us need to be thrown overboard? Because you think of church people, and that's not a perfect church nowhere, but I've been to a few churches. I really like them. I like the preaching. I like the singing. It's nice. But it's some people need to be thrown overboard because, like I said, one bad apple don't spoil a whole. Yes, it does. It spoils it. And it's like one monkey don't stop one show. One monkey can mess a whole show up. And I'm not calling you monkey. That's like that's a word of speech to, one monkey don't stop no show. One monkey can stop a show. One rotten apple in a bunch can mess up the whole bunch. So with Jonah, he was like, just throw me overboard because all of this is happening because of me. Now, how many, and you think how many people even think that? This is the thing that makes you examine yourself. Examine yourself to think, do I need to be thrown overboard? Don't look at Sister Betty, don't look at Betty, don't look at Sister Carol and Sister Colleen. No, think about me, myself, and I. Am I one of the ones that need to be thrown overboard? Am I one of the troublemakers? Am I one of the blabbermouths in the church? Am I one of the ones that degrade my church? One of the ones that go talk about my pastor and how he don't do this and he don't do that? Do I talk about the church, how they take up offering and I don't see where it's going? Do you need to be thrown overboard? Are you a Jonah? Do you need to be thrown overboard? Do you need to be thrown out there into the belly of the whale? Do you need to be thrown? Or you need to go out there and jump off the ledge? And I don't say that literally. I'm saying that as if it's you somewhere you don't want to be, then you need to move. If you somewhere that's unhappy where it's so bad that you begin to talk about it and make bad remarks about it, it's time to go. This is something my father told me years ago. And he was talking to my brother. This is one thing I took up. My father talked to my brother, and this one thing my father did. And a lot of men do that. And it's normal. It's people do. Because we are different, boys and girls. So a lot of things my father would tell my brother, he would say to us because he's like, I'm raising men to be good husbands, I'm raising my daughters to be good wives. So he would say things to my brother that he would often say to us. And my brother would say different things about his relationship and his marriage, and he's like, okay, you gonna leave? He's like, no. He said, well, she this and she that, and she ain't doing this and she. He said, so you're not gonna leave? You gonna stay there with her? He's like, yeah, I ain't leaving. I ain't going nowhere. He said, then shut up. Stop talking about it. Because whatever she is, you the same thing because you right there with her. Whatever you call her, you the same thing because you ain't leaving. Now, if the situation is so bad, you got to talk about it, and you got to bring it up, and you got to ridicule it, then you need to walk away from that situation.